One of the things I am very concerned with is the mental health crisis, the lack of meaning in people's lives. And Dr. K, I think, is doing something good in which when you have these conversations and you model them, that can be very useful. Like for me, I've talked about this previously and often. I was a very over-intellectualizer, still am to a big degree. But one of the things that helped me realize what I was doing, because you don't really realize you're doing it, is the conversation that Dr. K had with Destiny, where Destiny is this super over-intellectualizer character. Funny, sociable, and all that, but clearly has to think through everything.
One of the things that popped up is this thing that Destiny is a sociopath.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I'm a relatively cold or detached person for most people, and people just describe me that way sometimes, and then sometimes I ironically refer to it that way myself, but I don't like
what
believe
do you mean
that
by cold or detached?
I'm just not a very emotional person, I guess. I don't cry a lot, or I don't, I'm kind of I don't want to say I'm a loner. I have friends online, a couple friends that I talk to, and then I have a girlfriend. But for the most part, I think I do really well on my own. I function really well without a large group of people around me.
And the conversations today with Dr. K, he kind of illustrated for me oh my God, this is what I do in therapy. I come in and I provide all these rationalizations and whatnot. Point is, this kind of style of conversation is very healthy. I think, at least in the way that it's modeled. Now, the problem is when this therapy relationship blurs, which we'll get into. But one of the things that I really like about Dr. K is that he takes this, I think it's Ayurveda or something like that. It's sort of a traditional approach to psychology and medicine or something like that.
And so in that same way, in the Eastern system, you had the Ayurvedic folks who were medical professionals. And then you had the yogis who were sort of the basic science, here's how the mind works. So a lot of what we would call Ayurvedic psychiatry is actually found in yogic texts.
And it reminds me of what Jordan Peterson does. Jordan Peterson takes these archetypes, most of the time Christian archetypes and archetypes in other cultures, and explains psychological things in a practical way through those archetypes.
The knights of King Arthur go off to search for the Holy Grail, but they don't know where to look. So where do you look when you don't know where to look for something you need desperately but have lost? Well, each of the knights goes into the forest at the point that looks darkest to him. And that's Jungian psychoanalysis in a nutshell. It's that which you fear and avoid, that which you hold in contempt, that which disgusts you and that you avoid. That's the gateway to what you need to know.
And what Dr. K does that's interesting is he's doing, I think, a similar thing, but through this, I don't know how to say it, Ayurveda, this traditional Indian approach.
And that each person has an elemental balance of 3 types: Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So Vata is like the wind, Pitta is like fire, and Kapha is like earth. So what they sort of noticed is that some people are like the wind. Their mind is very dynamic. They learn things very easily. They're quick studies, but they also forget things very easily. Pittas are like fire. They're organized. They're focused. They discriminate, which means they tease apart things. They try to really understand processes, and they tend to be ambitious and driven and focused. And then you have the Kapha types, which are stable, resilient, arguably slow. So they're like the earth, resistant to change, hard to move, but can be very, very dedicated to one thing.
And so I think that's super helpful. But the issue is Dr. K did therapy sessions with a big streamer named ReckFul, who later committed suicide.
So ReckFul, I'm not counting on them to spend 2 years with you.
What are you counting on?
I'm counting on myself. It's the
only that you'll spend 2 years with me. Yeah, that I believe. That I can believe.
So I can't trust any of them.
True.
So I'm going to try
to
love you.
It's nice having someone to come to every week like this.
I'm going to try to love you for 2 years at a minimum.
I really appreciate it.
And it was sort of a breach of the doctor-patient relationship, potentially, it could be. And that's what Mr. Girl, Max Carson, is alleging. And this is what changed my mind a little bit about Dr. K, was this reaction, and then watching it again a second time with more context. This is his reaction after ReckFul's suicide.
Everything that we do on stream is intended to educate and support y'all, but nothing is intended to be medical advice. And I will say this now more than ever, that this is not a substitute for mental health treatment. A lot of people will reach out to me and say, Dr. K, I'll pay you whatever you want. I just want one session. And I want to make this clear that one session with me is not going to fix your problems. I know that's what people think. 6 sessions with me is not going to fix your problems. And yeah, I mean, what fixes problems is actual mental health treatment. And we try really hard to support people into getting that when necessary. Despite all of ReckFul's, out of everything that he gave to us, I think at the end of it, unfortunately, he was fighting it alone. And he lost. But just because he lost doesn't mean that you have to. So what happens when a champion falls? He gave us so much. Like, I remember, being like a 20-year-old kid playing WoW and like watching his videos, and I was like, damn, that guy's awesome. Like, I wish I could be like that good at WoW. I was a fan. He was a friend of mine.
He's reading off a script. I don't know how to think about someone who is delivering like an emotional message and sort of breaking down, but also reading off a script. Like, obviously at like a funeral, someone reads a eulogy. And so you could put it in that perspective, but there's something about this where he's making a speech out of it. And the problem is the additional context in this is that apparently, allegedly, when ReckFul was committed to a hospital or something, Dr. K asked for his name to not be mentioned in that report, which is suspicious.
And what do we do when a champion falls? Do we stop fighting? It's a personal battle and all of us have to fight it, but you have to fight it, but you don't have to fight it alone. So I've got a pretty big HP pool. I've got 100 hit points. I lost 80 of them yesterday. I lost most of my HP bar. And it's kind of like in a game.
This is that parasocial dynamic that is a danger of being online and something I try to navigate properly.
So my HP bar is flashing and my UI is like red at the corners. Because I can't take much more of this. And every time I work with someone, I give a piece of myself to them. And yesterday, the piece that I had given to ReckFul died with him. That's what happens. A piece of us died yesterday. And I need your help, and I need you to live. And I need everything that we do here to be worth it. And I need you all to get better, because I can't do this alone. And I can't take much more of this. I need you to be better. I need you to be happy. I need you to find hope and meaning in your life, because that's what keeps me hope. I can't take much more sad, because I'm only human.
Indeed.
I give a piece of myself to each and every one of you, and I give it willingly. But I don't have that much left to give. Hey, guys, I'm sorry. Thank you guys very much for giving me this opportunity to speak. And let's not let him down.
It just seems, man, I don't know. I don't want to make any accusations or anything like that. It just seems that emotional response is very different from people I've seen break down. Like Jordan Peterson breaks down often, and it's not him reading from a script. And that felt like reading from a script a bit. And it sucks because, again, I think one of the fundamental issues is the mental health crisis and the lack of meaning in people's lives. And if Dr. K is doing work that provides a space where to model the conversation of here's how you would engage in therapy, then I think it's helpful. And there's definitely a lot of good he did. But I think his failure is the inability to recognize that parasocial element. And that's the danger there. It'll be interesting to see how things play out with Mr. Girl Max Carson's allegations. So